right, so let's talk about nouns in Latin. So nouns in Latin, they're going to show or they have three things. And it's very important that you know these three things, okay? The first thing that they're going to have is case. Okay, and we're going to talk about what that means down here a little later. They're going to have gender. And then they're going to have number. Okay, so those are three things that all nouns in Latin are going to have. Okay, so first off, I know this is a little backwards than above, but that's okay. Okay, so number is going to be just singular or plural. Okay, we're going to have different endings that will tell you if the noun is singular or plural, because we have boys and we have boy, or cat and cats. Okay, we're going to have gender, and gender is either going to be masculine, feminine, or neuter. Okay, now you're going to know a noun's gender. Okay, so this is important. You're going to know the noun's gender. We don't get to make that up. The Romans have already decided that. Okay, so for example, any noun that you look up in your glossary, you will know that it's a noun because one of the things that it's going to have is it's going to tell you if it is masculine, feminine, or neuter. So, for example, puella, puellae, feminine, girl. Okay, so that's our example. Know that words that we would commonly think would be a specific gender, that's our assumption. But that might be the way that the Romans did it. Okay, so for example, okay, I'm going to scroll back up because I've got some empty space. For example, this word amor, amoris, it means love. And generally, our society thinks of that as a feminine idea, but the Romans actually said that it was masculine. Okay, so again, the Romans have already decided the gender. It is not up to you to decide. It is not up to us to put our modern society norms onto these words. Okay? These nouns have already been decided in the basis of gender. Okay? Now, case. Case is going to be how it is used in a sentence. Okay? So you're going to have some specific endings. Okay? And the endings are going to help you with all of these things. Okay? So, let's talk about the cases. Okay? So, first off, I'm going to write a little bit thinner so I can get more on there. Okay, so we have 5 main cases here in Latin. Okay? The first one is the nominative case. Okay? Now, the nominative case represents the subject of a sentence, or the predicate nominative when used with forms of being. Okay, so I'm obviously running out of room here, so we need an example though. Okay, I have a sentence in mind that is going to have a subject and a predicate nominative. Okay? And in a Latin sentence, that means that both of those nouns would be in this nominative case. Okay? So let's talk about MC is a teacher. Okay? MC, that's me. I am a noun. Okay, so this would be in the nominative. Here is, okay, and let's get a little funky here. MC is, this right here is our form of being. Okay? And it's just restating or retelling what I am. Okay? It's further describing me. Okay? And so teacher. Okay, this would also be in the nominative. Okay? So our next case is called genitive. Okay, genitive. And this one shows possession or ownership. Okay, let's make ownership there. That looks a little better. Comes after the word being owned. Okay, so in a Latin sentence, it comes after the word that's being owned. Okay, we have a translation helper. Of. Okay, so real quick, let me make this there. That's better. Okay, you could say maybe the hamburger of McDonald's. Okay, now we usually don't use this little word of in English. Okay, we like to use apostrophe S's. Okay, and so if you know when to use the apostrophe S, this is when the owner is singular. Or S apostrophe, the owner is plural. Okay? If you know when to use which one, feel free to do that. When we get to the genitive case and we're translating these sentences. However, if you're not sure and you don't want to get it wrong, using of, right here, using of is a safe bet. It does sound a little more stiff. It is not natural to us. But remember, you learning a new language. Okay? You are learning a new language. All right? So the dative case, dative. Okay? This one is used for indirect objects. Okay? Usually you're going to see, so we'll say used with verbs of giving or telling. Now, that is not an exhaustive list. That means it's not a complete list. But these are our two main types of verbs. Okay? These are our two main types of verbs that are going to use an indirect object. Okay? We've got some translation helpers. Okay? So we have translation helpers. This time we have two. Oops. Let's fix that. Fix that. Okay? Translation helpers. Okay? You can say to or for. Okay? Now, sometimes it's best to use to. Sometimes it's best to use for. Use your judgment. Say the sentence in your head to yourself. Which one works best? Okay? Some of this, most of this, is not an exact science. And so you have to test it out. Okay? And say to yourself, does that make sense? Okay? So always test things out. So let's say, for our example, MC, again, that's me. I'll use a different verb. Showed a movie to the class. Okay? So in this sentence, here's my helper, my translation helper of to, and this class right here, that would be in the dative case. Okay? And so remember, sometimes some of you have some more advanced English language skills than others, and that's fine. You're actually going to become a better English student through learning Latin. Okay? So if you know that you can make your sentence make sense without using to or for, then that's fine, because we could have said, instead of MC showed a movie to the class, we could have said MC showed the class a movie. And if I were to ask you what the indirect object is, you would have to tell me, well, what was being shown and what was to whom, and to whom was it being shown. Okay? So be very careful here. Okay? Now, the accusative case. The accusative has two possible uses. Okay? Mainly, it is going to be for your direct object of a sentence. Okay? And so we'll talk about that one first. Okay? We will talk about that one first. You might have already heard them. MC has cats. Okay? Now, remember, MC right here, this is going to be in the nominative case because it's the subject. Okay? The direct object receives the action. Okay? Receives the action. Okay, so that would mean that the cats would be in the accusative case in a Latin sentence. Okay? Now, your other use for the accusative case is, and I'm going to start right here, prepositional phrases. Okay? So let's talk about prepositional phrases. Okay? Let's talk about prepositional phrases. And I'm going to write down here. Okay, I'm going to write here. Prepositions in Latin need their nouns to be in specific cases. And they tell you, okay, they tell you which case must be used. Okay, so for example, if we look at the preposition odd, okay, not add, odd, and you look this up in the back of your book, it's going to say odd, and then it will say plus ACC, and that means that it needs a noun in the accusative case. Okay, and then it'll tell you the definitions to, toward, and so on. Okay, it's got several different definitions. Okay, so but again, the preposition tells you what case that it needs its noun to be in. Okay, so we're going to the last of the main cases. Okay, we are going to learn about two more. One very definitely this school year, and one in Latin too. Okay, so the ablative case, is for prepositional phrases only. And I can make that look better, I promise. So there we go. Prepositional phrases only. Okay. No other use. If you have a noun in the ablative, then it is part of a prepositional phrase. Okay. So, again, for example, one of our first prepositions is going to be a or ob. Okay. And you don't need to know when which one is used at this point. We will learn, I think, around chapter 7. Okay. But a or ob requires a noun in the ablative. Okay. So, kind of like where our accusative one, odd, needed an accusative noun to be paired with it, a or ob needs an ablative noun. Okay, and so this one, it has a bunch of different definitions too. It can be from, away from, or by. Okay, and I think there's some others as well. All right, so there is a video now for you to use to go back and review cases if you need to hear me talk about them again, or to use in case you were absent. If you have questions, as always, email me. I'm going to write my email right here. Julie.McConaughey at gcisd.net. Okay? You may always email me. Okay? Now, remember that I check email between the hours of about 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. So if you email me after 7 p.m., know that I'm probably not going to answer, but go ahead and email me. Okay, and that way I can maybe get to it if I have some work that I'm working on myself. Have a great day. Bye.